this tutorial I'm just going to talk about automation. Automation is basically the manipulation of parameters over time. So in Ableton, if we've created some loops and we've kind of set them out into a way which makes sense, and we want to turn them loops into some actual music, it can get very boring if it's just the same loops going over and over again. So a way around that is to change the parameters to make it slightly more interesting. So if we come over to here, usually if obviously you can't see the track you're working on, just use the arrow and that'll expand it. Usually we'll have the mixer section already open, and the mixer section refers to these here, basically the rectangle at the bottom of the track. So we have the track volume, we have the speaker on and off panning, and the sends. Now usually it's on the speaker, and as we should already know, the speaker button just simply turns the track on and off. So if it is on speaker, you have two states. It can either be on or it can be off. So if we listen to that, just pull that out of the way, goes off, and you can see it's grayed out and then comes back on. Various times you might want to use that. Another way around though is if we just simply delete out the audio. That kind of works the same as turning the track on and off, so we can do it that way. More interesting would be to slowly fade the volume of a loop in, so that's what I'm going to do with this. So I'll just turn this one down, and as you see, so we'll hear this track straight away, and then this one above will slowly fade in. And that'll drop out here. And I'm going to add a fade on this one. And that's how we do automation. Now, obviously these are the very basics, and anything in Ableton can be automated. So any of the effects or anything can be automated, and all the parameters can be changed. So although it seems quite simple at the minute, things get quite advanced fairly quickly. Now if we have none on the section, just because sometimes when we have new tracks it says none and the mix is not there, if we expand that, just select show all parameters, and then it'll default to this view, and that gives us access to everything. If I add an effect, so I'll just quickly add an effect on this track here, so double click, we can see the effect. Now rather than the mixer section, if we go to expand that, we can see now we have the mixer and the effect. If we choose the effect, we then have all the parameters that we can change. Now with some effects that gets very confusing. There's an awful lot of parameters, and until you know all the effects well enough, it can be quite confusing as which one to select. So a quicker way of rather than having to go into the effect and select the parameter is just by simply moving one of the parameters. So if I move this dry wet knob, if you watch up here and here, it automatically jumps to that parameter. So if I change the feedback now, see how it automatically jumps to it, and then we can just simply go in and automate that parameter the way we like. So go in, practice, use the volume first and go up and down and just make sawtooth patterns. Get used to doing this, okay? Then start trying to practice with the panning. The panning's always a good one. So the panning, if it's at the bottom, I think that's left, whereas at the top it's right. So yeah, you can see 50L there. If I click this bit here, it goes all the way to the top. I'll turn that effect off so you can hear it kind of change there. And you can see it's actually changing. And that's it with automation. Go through and practice with it. Get used to it, because it's automation which really takes your song from being boring and starts making it sound a lot more professional. So get used to it. One quick thing I'll tell you before you go is if you hover over a line after you've put the points in, if you hold the Alt key down, you'll see the mouse changes so it has this little curve on it. If you click and pull, then we can then add curves into the automation, which makes for a smoother increase or decrease.